and welcome. I'm Lauren McGough, a graduate student at Texas Women's University Library Information Science program. I have 3 great books to share with you today. Here I have Lines in the Sky, Haikus for All Seasons, written by Laura Purdy Salas and illustrated by Merci Lopez. And No More Poems, written by Rhett Miller and art by Dan Santat. And Girl Coming In for Landing, a novel in poems written by April Halpern Whalen and illustrated by Elaine Clayton. When you see these 3 books I have here, you might think that they're all similar because they're poetry, but they're all quite different. So first off, we have Line of the Sky, Haiku for All Seasons, written by Laura Purdy Salas and illustrated by Merci Lopez. Haikus are a great way to get into poetry for the first time. A haiku is a 3-line poem with lines that are 5, 7, and 5 syllables in length. They come from Japan and are traditionally about nature. Salas keeps the theme of nature by writing about the seasons, but she puts a fun twist on them by making them into riddles, which she deems riddle coups. So here's an example of a riddle coup. It says, I search under the stars and gather tasty treasures. Winter is coming. So if you read it the first time and you didn't get it just from the words, all the pictures have little hints for you. So you can see right here a big bushy tail and then leading to this little head right above the acorns. And you can probably guess that it's a squirrel. Do you think that you could write a riddle coup? So next, we have a really funny book by Rhett Miller. He's from a band called the Old 97s, and he's also a solo musician and writer. This book is unique because a lot of the book is visual poetry. Visual poetry is a style of poetry where the images are directly incorporated into the words of the poem, and the art is by Dan Santat. So while the previous book we read had illustrations that accompanied the words, in this book they are combined in many of the poems. And I have an example right here for you, and it's called My Device. So you see the actual poem is written in these text box conversations. So you can see it's a lot like things you might see in your daily life. And I'm just going to read the very final conversation. My device is smarter than everyone I meet. It knows all my answers. You're all obsolete. So sometimes we do feel that way about our phones, and then sometimes we feel like maybe they're a waste of time. And this poem explores that, but it's still really funny. So last up, I have our novel. So it's a novel written in verse, and a novel is a whole book that tells a fiction story, just like one story from front to beginning. And novels can be poems too. April Halpern Whalen has written Girl Coming In for Landing from the perspective of a 13-year-old girl at the beginning of the school year. She writes poems to describe her feelings and things she's going through in her life, which are probably pretty much like things that you're going through yourself, like school, friends, and family. The girl lives in California and has a passion for poetry that she uses to tell her story. She writes many types of poems, long and short, rhyming and non-rhyming, and they're all directly from her perspective. These books can show how many different genres that poetry has, and there's even like hundreds more that you haven't even heard of. So if you go to your local library or the library at your school, and you can browse the poetry section, and you'll find lots of books for different age groups and different interests. You can find books that are haikus, funny, nature, science poems, or even poems about music, history, or sports. Thank you.